Hello team, welcome to this month's Around the Grounds. I've got Matt LaHood here with me and we're going to be running through what we're seeing around the marketplace at the moment and also some big wins that we've been seeing from the team over the course of the past month. Matt, I guess couldn't come at a more timely point in the market for us. You look at the entire east coast of Australia and the negative sentiment that's out there has been easy for everyone to see.
Absolutely.
What's your view on how things have been travelling and where we're at in the current space?
Well, it's quite interesting. Tommy, you and I went out on the weekend around the grounds and had a good look, and we've done a lot of one-on-ones, which has been great. Yeah. So, you know, when you get out in the marketplace and you have a look and you see what's happening, there's buyers everywhere. That's the first thing I noticed. We went to a number of opens, buyers there, and now I think it's obviously quality versus quantity. Yeah. The quantity's dropped off. Yeah. But the quality, I spoke to a lot of our team during the week, which was awesome and was great to catch up with everyone. But what I think really hit it for me was those two auctions that we were at, Brad Gillespie had in the Inner West, which were poignant to the market. There was a lot of people attending, so there's still a lot of interest in what's happening in the market, so crowd-wise. Yeah. Not a lot of bidders, but there was two. Brad and Irene and team had two on each, but they were trained to the minute to actually bid. Yeah. Brad knew, when he gave you the preamble, he knew exactly where they were.
He knew exactly where they were going to pull up.
He knew exactly where they were going to pull up, the vendor was totally under control, and Brad had a couple of reserves. He had the written reserve, then he had the, what's the price I'm going to sell that reserve, and virtually did not need to speak to his owners, which is a skill that I love to see.
And he also knew the emotive angle of why those particular buyers were buying. He was able to let me know that at the auction, which I was able to then obviously continue to remind the buyers about that, which that's one thing we've seen, isn't it? The best agents that are getting the results. What's interesting is if you look at around a business and you look in the regional markets that we're currently in, which haven't really been going really well for a number of months now.
Seeing phenomenal results.
But our agents like Charlie Lunn, Brian Whiteman, Philip Talbot in Coffs, and
Charlie Lunn's amazing. She's 10 sales last month. Yep. I just caught up with Brian day before yesterday up in Central Coast. 28 listings live on the market, and he said he's got 10 more coming up. Now what he said was something he probably doesn't even know I listened to this, but he said, Matt, I'm being real particular on what I'm taking on. I'm actually saying to owners, look, I won't take that on unless it's priced at a range. Not being arrogantly about it or ignorant around it, but he's saying it's not the best for you to sit on the market and be, you know, stuck on an RP data search like being on the market for 3 to 4 months. If you're at this price, I'm definitely keen to help you get to move on.
So do you think with the guys in the regional areas, and also our team on the Gold Coast have had this too, because they haven't been exposed to as much of the super cycle as say what Sydney and Melbourne have been exposed to, they've got a totally different perception on who they need to be. Yep. So it's that inner market versus outer market mentality.
Look, totally, good point too. It's easy to be complacent when if you've got 6 or 8 buyers at every auction and you've got bidding and starting above reserves, and you were doing plenty of those in the last 12 months. Yeah. Or you haven't got that, every auction or every negotiation, the Gold Coast team are outstanding. You spoke about Andrew, I think he did what, close to 100 GCI last month? 100,000 GCI last month. So Andrew on the Gold Coast, congratulations Andrew. What we're seeing now is there's a gap that's appeared. Now the QLD team have had that gap. They've always had that gap. So that's just normal market for them. Yeah. What Sydney and Melbourne are now seeing, that gap's appeared, but they haven't actually seen it for a long time. They've had buyers going past owners' expectations. So now what you have to do, if you do nothing else and you're pitching to owners about selling their property, your pitch should be all around as who are you going to choose to close the gap that's now appeared in the market. Yeah. All you need to do is choose the best agent that's going to close that gap. Yeah. So what we're seeing, just back to those Brad Gillespie auctions, because they were outstanding in my view, there was perfect execution. But what I loved is I personally went and spoke to the underbidders, only because Brad was busy and so forth, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go.
You also want to get a feel on the ground for
I want to get a feel.
Business is being
received. Both of those underbidders, who are usually disappointed, and both of them were, they missed out because it was a game of inches. Great auctions, Tom, too, actually, by the way. You got the thousands down to the 500s, down to emptying their wallets to get the last bid out, which is good.
It's called squeezing.
But what come out of that for me was they were both saying, look, Brad and Irene have been amazing to deal with. And I didn't prompt anything. I just said, look, really disappointed you missed out. I've been in the same situation. I know what it's like emotionally. Brad and Irene will be all over finding you something else. You know, just how many other auctions you've been bidding. I just wanted to get us in their head to see what was going on. They said, look, we've got to tell you, Brad and Irene have been outstanding. They told us exactly what was going to happen. To me, that's why Brad's doing the volume he's doing, because he's getting the results. And Brad's just such a natural, he probably wouldn't even know that he's actually doing that, but he's just got a process. It's like, you know, what's the most successful family restaurant in the world? It's a McDonald's, right? Hello, run by 16-year-old kids who can't pick their underpants up.
Checklists.
Yeah, exactly right. And system, process, follow it, negotiate. That you don't break that system.
Yeah.
McDonald's have got the cleanest toilets in the world. If you ever want to stop and you need to go to a loo, McDonald's always, because every 1 hour they clean the toilets. It's a process. Vendor management's exactly the same. Every day you should be contacting your vendors. It's not a negotiable.
Yeah.
It's a McDonald's theory. If you ring your vendors every day, at the end of the 28 days, they're going to know. They're going to just take your word for it.
Yeah.
Just brings me to Lincoln McCarthy and Dave over on the Lower North Shore. Just sold a client of mine's property. I knew more of what was going on that property. Lincoln kept that vendor so fully informed, where there was a $100,000 gap appeared, and he wrote them an email just suggesting that here's where it's at. They sent him a text back saying, just accept the offer and go ahead, and you've done a fantastic job. And he was 100 grand away from what he initially thought.
What was an interesting thing there I'd like you to share with the team, Matt, is that we can get caught up at the moment and taking a sledgehammer to educate our sellers about the market, and you can start to sound like a little bit of a broken record by going the market. And your strategy there with Lincoln was the owners will know what the market is. They may not tell you they know, but they know.
Exactly.
And you talked about the actual other things that are affecting the market.
Yes.
The tightening of finance.
Yep.
And that's a big thing. You want to just explain?
Yeah, no, look, Link was just done an amazing job, and he sent me a pre-email to say, look, I just want to show this to the owners. Are you okay with it before I send it out? And I said, yeah, absolutely. But he was just referring to what the market was doing, which is fine. But let's assume every newspaper and every TV and everything you turn on can tell you about the marketplace in Sydney, Melbourne, Queensland. It's on every day. So the owners know what's happening in the market. What I suggested to Link we do is tell them the reason why the buyers are not coming up, and it was because of the finance, the credit crunch. So that gap's appeared because of the credit crunch. And if they knew that the banks had tightened their policy, and we sent the email out, then obviously the vendor called me after to say, look, we're going to accept the offer, and sent Lincoln a text. And they just said to me, oh mate, the market's totally come back, hasn't it? So they've just met the market straight away. Yeah. And they're using those funds to buy their daughter's getting married. So they're using that money to buy their daughter a property. So they said, look, we'll just pick it up on the roundabout.
So again, there's an emotive play to that. You're able to...
If they come down 100, they'll pay 100 less for something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the smarter agents, the clever agents, the agents that will survive in the next 12 months to 2 years. Because guys, be very clear, this market is here. This is the new market you're in. There is no more boom in real estate for, I don't think, at least a couple of years, right? So that to me is opportunity, because when it's booming, nobody really needs you. You can sell your property yourself. When it's not booming, Tom, the agent gets the job. That's why, in a sense, when it cools off, that's what actually your job is to do.
Well, you and I were talking about this yesterday, was that you can, at the moment, you can either choose to wake up and look at negativity, or you can choose to wake up and look at opportunity.
Totally agree.
And it's so easy to move into the negative space, which means that you're not going to be good to anyone. Your buyers, your sellers, yourself.
I know, I don't want to single anybody out, but you and I did a couple of one-on-ones, and Max Wagshall. Like, I just walked out of that room yesterday after seeing Max thinking, what a sharp, articulate fellow who's just got it all together. He said, look, I'm just ignoring what's happening in the market. There's a buyer, there's a seller, I'll find them and I'll take the commission, which is a great way of doing it. He's already got 3 to 4 lined up for February. Potentially going to target 6 for February, where it's the 15th of November, and he's already thinking ahead. So the agents that think ahead, they're in the game. We know, and it was great because he was just not fluxed about the market, not interested. I know there's people that want to sell. I know there's people that want to buy. Doesn't matter. The next 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And you know, I started in 1988 when the interest rates were 19%. There was nobody coming to the opens. Did 10 opens on a Saturday. Saw not one person. Not even the vendors wanted to come back and find out what happened in those days, right? So didn't even see the vendors half the time. So they went missing in action. When the market, interest rates come down a bit, started to boom. Then we went through the GFC. We remember you and I increased our agents' market share with them in the GFC because we kept on the ball, focus on play the ball, keep playing the ball.
Also for us, and it's just for everyone to be able to go out and speak to their potential sellers about, is that the agency was born out of attracting experienced agents. And I did the numbers the other day, and more than 80% of our agents have actually been through 2 cycles before.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, and I say this because when the going gets tough, what counts? Experience.
Yep.
And I do think that's a big thing for us, is that we have a really good, for whether it's in Melbourne with Peter Kakos and his team, up on the Gold Coast, John Natoli and team, or in Sydney. Yep. A large majority of our agents have seen the last cycle, have gone through the last downturn, are actually prepared for this, and that's going to be a big difference, I think.
And if you're in the team, at the moment, you're feeling a bit like, geez, what's going on? I'm just not getting any rubber on the road. Thomas, myself, your sales manager, the experienced agents, the culture in this team is everybody helps everyone, right? We'll never win anything if we don't link arms together. So I want you to turn to somebody on the other side. If you're struggling or you're feeling a bit flat, talk to somebody who's in momentum. Pick up the phone, call Brian Whiteman. The guy's energy yesterday, I'm 28 listings on the market live, 10 coming on. Jen and him, his wife, are just amazing. They just get on with it. They're not interested. They've got 28 owners to clear out. They've got no time to worry about what's happening in the market. You know, it's Charlie Lund, absolute machine. She said to me, rang me up the other day, mate, and she said, I did 10 sales for October, but she said, I'm not happy, I need to go and find another 10. She's now got another 10 listings to replace them. Yeah. And Benny Olliston down in Bowral, I think he put something away.
He's put a big deal away, it's confidential.
Yeah, okay.
He's put a big deal away down there. So it just shows me that there's perception and there's reality. Yep. And sometimes you need to be able to just get yourself out there. And you talk about the inner market versus the outer market. You can't control the outer market.
Totally agree.
You can control what's going on between your own ears, though.
We did talk regional too, Tom, to jump around. Sorry, Philip Talbot. Phil, good on you. Just joined us too not that long ago. Coffs Harbour. Yeah. Tell us just quickly. He's holding some a large amount of stock as well.
Well, he's holding large amount of stock. He's recognised the market is where it is. So his list to sell ratio isn't going to be as high as what it once was the past couple of years. But again, proving to me that all he has done is gone, I'm going to make sure that every single person that I meet is going to get the best possible service bar none. Yep. That's the mission.
That's it.
And that's leading to listing after listing, and it means that he's getting the sales. And it's not a complicated business. I think
don't want to single anybody out at all, but I know Catherine Murphy's still charging along out there in Epping.
A tough market, but she's been
absolutely great
results.
Attitude. Yeah. Also just picking up things. I heard Scotty Thornton did a big sale. Yeah. Ben's working on some telephone number deals at the moment, as you put some away.
We had the block. We
had the block in Melbourne.
With Peter Kakos and Michael Paproth. And,
great job. But Peter Kakos and Mike, I know it's a massive distraction, guys. You did well, but you got the brand out there nationally, and I know you've been called into a few listings off it. Win, lose or draw, you've raised the profile there, which is great. Melbourne team are flying along too. I won't single anybody out, but I'm seeing
exciting to happen with Hawthorn on the horizon, which is really exciting.
And we're just about to end up that merging with the Perth and going the national brand, so you'll see that throughout the media, which is exciting. So that's going to happen just around the Christmas period. So really, guys, that's about it, Tom. I think.
And just quickly before we wrap up, I think it's to simplify everything. There's a lot happening at the moment, but we were talking with one of the guys along offshore yesterday, and he sort of said, well, what's the top things you're going to be doing at the moment? We said communication with sellers, communication with buyers, and then communication with yourself.
Yes.
What's the story you're telling yourself?
Yep.
What's the story that you're telling your owners? What's the story you're telling your buyers? I think if you can focus on that, make sure that it's top class and high quality and informative.
Totally.
We'll talk about consultative as well.
Consultative, educate the vendor rather than this rubbish about, conditioning. We don't want to use those words in this brand. It's ridiculous. Condition is something comes in a bottle. That's just ridiculous. We're talking about educate and be the consultative, like Lincoln McCarthy style on that sale that he just did. Thanks for your time, guys. Have a great week.
Appreciate that. Thank you.